The Chiefs finally get their first win and they get it over the New York Giants in Sunday Night Football. And there's not much to say about this game from the Kansas City Chiefs perspective because this was the ultimate you better not win this game type of game for a really good team that's getting off to a poor or sluggish start. If you're the Chiefs, this would have been an absolute disaster if you lost this game. This is the same New York Giants team who were 0-2 over the first 2 weeks, who allowed 40 points against the Dallas Cowboys, a team that got destroyed by the Bears just yesterday. This New York Giants team, which wants to already get rid of their starting quarterback, who they paid, even though they drafted a first-round quarterback, they did pay him to be the starter, presumably for the entire year, who wants to get rid of their head coach, who just won Coach of the Year 3 years ago. They want to get rid and bury all of it. So you better not lose to this team. This would have been terrible if you lost to this team. You know, the Eagles still are a very good team regardless of their flaws. The Chargers look like they could potentially win the division over you guys for the first time in a decade. It might actually be a decade. So those are okay. But if you lost to the Giants, I don't care about the injuries. I don't care about the scheduling. I don't care about anything. I don't care about the high-powered offense. I don't care that Russ threw for over 400 yards last week. You better not lose to the Giants. You better not. And thankfully they didn't lose to the Giants, but hey, it wasn't pretty. Even them beating the Giants, it wasn't pretty. Many issues. Harrison Butker looks like he's going through a spell right now where he isn't as sharp as he usually is. One of the annoying things about kickers is it seems like at any moment they can just go completely south, and they're just not the same kicker that they used to be. We saw what happened with Justin Tucker, for instance, who was the most accurate kicker in the NFL history. I think Cameron Dickers overtaken him now. You know, who could be a Hall of Famer, one of the only kickers in the Hall of Fame. I think there's a few others, but who could be a Hall of Famer. And his last season of playing for the Ravens, he looked bad. He didn't look good. I was like, this isn't Justin Tucker. This isn't the Justin Tucker that was the greatest kicker in NFL history. And it can happen to any kicker. Younghoe Koo, who I thought was going to be the Falcons kicker for many, many years, started playing bad. Jake Moody was just cuffed by the 49ers earlier this year. Kickers can go south. And I don't know if Harrison Butker is there yet, but hey, he cost them 4 points just yesterday, and he also missed a field goal against the Eagles as well. And both of those, by the way, the extra point that he missed and the field goal that he missed were both under 50 yards. These weren't long ones. They were under 50 yards, makeable ones, which is crazy because he's made 50-plus ones, but he's missed ones that are 40-something or whatever. So I know it's not the conventional place to start, but I'm going to start there. Patrick Mahomes, the main issue I have with him in this game is he kept making a few bonehead decisions, he threw backwards more than once. And both times that he threw backwards, the one to Pacheco, where Pacheco ended up slamming on the ground, where there's a question like, did he catch it and just throw it on the ground? Is that like a live fumble? Major mistake there. Another backwards pass that somehow he miraculously recovered like 10 plus yards down, which ended up making it like a 3rd and 25. I was like, what are you doing there? But hey, they came out in the second half and they looked like the Kansas City Chiefs, and they, put it to the New York Giants and ended up winning the game. And the second half was by far the best that the Chiefs have looked so far this season, even if it's against the Giants. They didn't play that good against the Chargers, and they didn't play that well against the Eagles for an entire half, and they looked well there. Tyquan Thornton, Mahomes and him are still trying to get some chemistry, but Tyquan Thornton looks to be their best deep threat now that Xavier Worthy is injured. There were questions that maybe Xavier Worthy could play this week, but I'll be completely honest. I think if it wasn't against the Giants, Xavier Worthy plays. I think because it's like, look, this is the Giants. We believe that we should be able to beat you without the Giants. If we don't beat the Giants, with you or without you, our team is bad. We're bad, and we have many issues that we need to sort out. So this isn't a you thing. So look, just rest up against the Giants, come back next week against the Ravens. But regardless, the Chiefs do get a win. The defense did end up stepping up, but it was mostly Russell Wilson giving it to them, throwing 2 interceptions where it's like, bro, what are you doing? He's just throwing the ball up for grabs and allowing anybody to take it. There was a field goal that was an extra point that was completely shanked by, I think, the left-footed punter because Graham Gano, their kicker, was having groin issues or whatever, and instead of getting, a kicker just to replace him for that week or the next 2 weeks, they decided to just have the punter take it, and it was completely blocked, right then and there. Travis Kelce did have a few catches, which is always good to see. I think this is hands down Travis Kelce's last year. There was even question marks that he would retire at the end of next year. I think they were hoping that maybe they can make one final Super Bowl push. This is the last year of his contract. He still has that year. Even if this isn't Travis Kelce's last year, which it would be a miracle if it isn't, not just because he just got engaged to Taylor Swift, but he also has a massive podcast deal. You are more than set up for your retirement, bro. So I think you'll be good there. there's no way I could see the Chiefs offering him a new contract. And if they do, they'll offer him like $1, $2, $3 million. He's making 19 this year, I believe. So do you want to go from 19 to 3, or just retire, protect your body, be with your wife who's a billionaire, and be with your podcast where you have over $100 million podcast deal for? So I think this is Travis Kelce's last year, hands down. Offensive line is making way too many issues. The penalties. The Chiefs had so many penalties where it's like, bro, what are you doing? Jawan Taylor, that Super Bowl run where they beat the 49ers, you saw why they got Jawan Taylor. He was blocking off 2 guys at the same time. He was taking on the Ravens' best pass rushers and the Bills' best pass rushers, like 2 of them sometimes by himself. So he's clearly a very talented player, but the issues, the mistakes, the penalties are just too much. And it seems like now the penalties aren't offsetting his play and some of the good play that he can give you. So maybe it's time to move on from him. Creed Humphrey's still great. The young left tackle has many issues in and of itself. They really need to get Rashee Rice back and Xavier Worthy back. And when they have those 2 guys back, this could be a very different team, because I'm not completely out on this Chiefs defense because, the Chargers game was the first game of the season and Justin Herbert played miraculously and they allowed 27 points. The Eagles, they only allowed them to score 17, and that includes with a goal line interception, which was a Travis Kelce drop. And they only allowed the Giants to score 6 points. Now, the Giants were terrible, so I'm not going to put too much into that, but this defense still is clearly a talented unit. I'm not out on them. I think once the offense just gets a little bit better, Patrick isn't, throwing to guys whose names you don't know and running for his life a little bit more, because he's buying a lot of time. That's what the great quarterbacks can do. I think they'll be all right, and I think they'll make the playoffs. I don't know if they'll win the division because the Chargers look damn good, but I think they'll be all right and they'll make the playoffs and at least win a playoff game. But they just needed to get a win. Even if it wasn't pretty, they just needed to get a win, get some confidence going, get some momentum going. And now they have another test against the Baltimore Ravens. This is what sucks about winning the Super Bowl, or making it to the Super Bowl, because they didn't win, but making it to the Super Bowl. You're always going to have the toughest schedule, and you're always going to play against the best teams, which makes sense. The best should be playing the best, and they have to play against the Ravens. We'll see how the Ravens look tonight, but that'll be another test for them. Oh, yeah, and the Ravens play the Lions. The Chiefs play the Lions as well in Week 6. So the Chiefs have a lot on their plate in the future, and we'll see how they do there. But they got the win against the Giants. They got the monkey off their back, and let's hope for the Chiefs' sake that they get some momentum going in their favor, because it didn't look great over the first 2 weeks. It didn't even look great today, but a win is the most important thing for them in the situation that they're in. And thankfully, they did it.